Warning, if you don't know how to speak in Filipino, I'm gonna need you to exit right now because I'm gonna be speaking in Filipino throughout most of this video and possibly throughout the rest of my videos. We have a change! Change is coming! DDS pa rin mga ulol. Anyways, okay. So ngayon, lahat ng hindi marunong mag-Tagalog naka-exit na. Warning naman para sa mga natira, utang na loob! If hindi nyo kayang tanggapin or aminin yung privilege nyo, wag nyo na tong panoorin. So today, I'm gonna be checking my privilege in hopes of encouraging some of you to check your privilege. Diba sabi ko magtatagalog ako pero yung intro ko English. Galing? So what is privilege? According to this shirt by touchic that they sent me, privilege. If you don't have to think about it, it's a privilege. So if you don't have to worry about it, it is a privilege. I actually tried to look for privilege test like online, pero lahat ng privilege test puro mga Western perspective. So di ako makarelate sa kanila and feeling ko ibang-iba yung privilege sa ibang bansa. So instead, I asked you guys on Instagram what you guys think looks like privilege from your point of view since I couldn't find anything. So number one, and probably the one that everybody answered the most, is light-skinned or mixed race. Or people who look mestiza in general. Mixed race, ibig sabihin, half white ka, half black, half Mexican, half... Alam mo yung mga kaklase mong... Alam mo yung mga kaklase mong maraming flag emojis sa bio nila. No shame naman, funny lang minsan. For me, I'm actually part Japanese, part Spanish, and also part American. Joke lang. Pinensyon ko lang lahat na nag-colorize sa atin. Kunyari, may lahi kang like, or anything that's white, automatic, people are gonna be like, wow, bro! May foreigner. Nakita mo may foreigner? Tangkad, grabe. Or you don't even have to be white, like kahit chinita, ganon. Yan, that's yung mga type ng mga boys. I think it's definitely a privilege to just be white passing or sama puti and Eurocentric features talaga. And gumawa ka ng video about that. Tapos ang daming nagalit na white people. Yung mga argument nila na parang, oh, I'm oppressed because people would make fun of my nose kasi matangos daw yung ilong nila. How do you even breathe with your skinny nose? Grabe, you're so oppressed, pare! But you know, I get it. Maybe it's different kapag sa other countries. But for us, para siyang humble bragging. Parang, ano ba yan ang tangos ng ilong ko? Ano ba yan ang puti-puti ko? Ano ba yan ang payat-payat ko? Like, shut up! Okay, yung mga nagsasabi na maitim sila, kahit di naman talaga sila maitim. I feel like, oh my god, grabe, umiitim na talaga ako. Itim-itim ko na. Grabe, itim-itim ko. In reality, if you're in any way mixed race in the Philippines, pwede ka na maging model. Like, that's literally one of like the things that I wish I was. Like, iniisip ko na parang, paano kaya kung like half white ako, no? E di sana like model na ako ng sunnies ngayon. Parang tamang ganun-ganun lang. Kapag nagtagalog ako or pag nagmura ako in Tagalog, edi sobrang big deal. Parang, oh my god, sobrang quirky. It's saying bad words in Tagalog. Sabi niya, putang ina. But anyway, I'm really glad na a lot of people, especially yung generation natin ngayon, mas appreciative na talaga sila sa morena beauty and they understand na sobrang result of colonization talaga yung ganong standard. Anyways, that's a check on that part because I'm very well aware that I have that privilege. Di ako mestiza, pero alam mo yun, maputi ako. Ina-acknowledge ko yun. Sobrang dami ko pong pwedeng sabihin, pero hindi ko na sasabihin. Dili na lang ako mag-talk. Next item. Another one na a lot of people answered is speaking English without an accent. Yes, that's also a check for me. Feeling ko sobrang lala ng social class identification kapag marunong ko mag-English. Kasi kapag marunong ko mag-English, automatic tingin sa'yo mayaman or maarte. Kapag sa trabaho, if you know how to speak English, sobrang laking plus nun. Kapag sa school, you're good at English. Kasi ang formal education sa Pilipinas is English. Bulletins na sinasubmit nyo, English. Ang announcement, naka-English. Ang science, naka-English. Ang math is also in English. Everything is in English. All of the textbooks are in English. And I think ito rin yung parang nag-create ng divide within Filipinos as well. Kasi napapansin ko, ang daming mga quote-unquote like educated, matalino, and all that. Ang daming na nagko-complain. Oh my god, I'm gonna start talking about politics and it's so gonna put me in danger. Ang daming mga mayayaman. Galit na galit sila sa mga BBM supporters. Kasi like yung mga diehard talaga, like hindi yung trolls like literal, real-life BBM supporters. Like okay, mag-send ka ng research kung magkano nanako nila, kung ilan yung mga pinatay nila. Mag-send ka ng actual journal articles, ganon. But what language is it in? It's in English. Paano nila maiintindihan yun? Majority naman ng Filipino, wala naman talagang access sa mga ganong research and shit. Ang accessible sa kanila is Facebook. Lahat ng affordable na phones may Facebook. Alam mo, ang dami ko nakakita na sobrang tatalinong tweets. Maraming daming posts na sobrang daming sense, pero naka-English. Paano nila maiintindihan yun kung naka-English siya? Kaya ano nangyari, people think na Lenny is the rich person choice. Kasi in a sense, parang medyo gate-kept sa kanila yung actual tamang information. And at the same time, nagmumukhang exclusive or, alam mo yun, parang may superiority complex yung mga Lenny supporters. Sino ba ang audience nila? Para sa audience nila, sobrang relatable nila. Oh my God, Tatay Digong, sobrang simpleng tao lang talaga. Kasi they speak the same language. Kung totoo sa hindi naman talaga simpleng tao yan. Kaya helicopter yan, may broom, I don't know what it's called, but like, di siya simpleng tao. Porket may picture lang na kumakain siya ng pritong isda, simpleng tao na siya. Si Heart Evangelista nga kumakain ng corned beef, simpleng tao ba yun? Okay, yun na lang muna sasabihin ko. I'm gonna keep it cute! Even though this is already a pretty controversial topic in itself. By the way, speaking of politics, Touchic, the brand who sent me this shirt and a bunch of other shirts, check yung brand nila in case you guys want some statement t-shirts. Sobrang gaganda ng statements nila. They're actually gonna be available. Wait, I'm gonna check. They are now in SM Mall of Asia, 3rd floor, South Main Hall. Paragon by the Penthouse. Dun sila if you guys want to go to Mall of Asia and buy yourself one of these shirts. Trip na trip ko yung messages nila. Sobrang tapang. Sobrang... Gets nyo na yun. But yeah, anyways, that is a big check for me kasi I know that I can code switch. Kaya kung kailangan ko mag-present in English, I can easily do that. I can just like put on my English voice and easily present something easy peasy. If di nyo alam kung ano ibig sabihin ng code switching, parang ibig sabihin parang pinapalitan mo yung accent mo, pinapalitan mo yung language, or like basta way of speaking mo in general for specific people. So for example, ako magpe-present ako, mag-i-English ako. For my presentation today, I'm gonna be discussing the blah 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 blah. Or kapag nasa tricycle ako, pag nasa Divisoria ako, hindi naman ako ate, can you like, how much is this? I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna be like, tay, magkano to? Pwede ba 50 na lang, ganon. Or kung magta-trash talk ako sa ML, syempre, hindi naman ako mag-on voice na, oh my God, you are so bobo, suck, you're terrible. Ang sasabihin nila, ba't ka nag-English? Oh. Syempre, pag magta-trash talk ka, dapat malutong. Bawa! Mag-uninstall ka na! I don't do that though. I'm just kidding, I don't do that, for real. The next one sa checklist is feeling confident in inviting people to your house. Sobrang financial privilege nito. There's always... ingay ng aso! Huwag niyo na lang pansinin yung aso. Ayun, I think sobrang normal niya. Kasi palagi kang may friend na hindi talaga siya nag-i-invite sa bahay nila. Or like, even if ikaw mismo yung friend na yun. Actually, na-experience ko to sa dating bahay namin. Meron akong kapitbahay. Pangalan niya Alalang-alala ko pa. Kasi parang paggabi na, parang naglalaro kami sa labas, gano'n. Magkapit-bahay kami. Kailangan na namin umuwi. Pero di rin pwede sa bahay nila kasi andun na yung magulang nila or something. Tapos gusto nila. So, nag-offer ako. Sabi ko, okay, maglaro na lang tayo sa bahay ko. Sabi ng yaya niya, ay, hindi pwede. Di pinapayagan sa bahay mo kasi nakakatakot daw. I'm like, oh! What? Tapos dinefend ko pa. Sabi ko, hindi nakakatakot dyan. Ay, dyan nga ako nakatira eh. Ganun. Wala, safe yan. Tapos sinabi, ay, hindi pwede kasi baka ma-allergy daw siya. I'm like, and don't! Kaya ever since, never talaga ako nang comment sa bahay ng isang tao unless it's something good. And if you're watching this, don't ever comment sa living situation ng isang tao. Like kahit sabihin mo, liit pala ng bahay mo or something like that. Like parang, shut up! This is my house! Just a lesson. Huwag ka mag-comment sa katawan ng tao. Huwag ka na rin mag-comment sa bahay ng isang tao. Okay? The next one is also having straight hair. And yes, I think it is a privilege in my opinion. Kasi I think medyo racist din kasi yung concept behind it. Like kapag sobrang kulot yung hair mo. Like kapag coils, I think natural Filipino hair dapat like sobrang curly talaga. Hindi ako sure actually. Don't quote me. Hindi ako sure. Pero yeah, di ba black people have like very curly hair? Tapos naalala ko, parang may show before. I forgot what it's called. Parang telenovela siya. Tapos pinagtatawanan yung bata. Like tawag sa kanya lot kulot or something. Na parang sobrang negative pagiging kulot. And at the same time, sobrang nasa culture din natin yung nagpaparibond. As far as I know, mahirap din maghanap ng products that are actually suited for curly hair. So yes, I'm gonna check that privilege. God, I'm so freaking privileged. There's another one. Di ko siya na-copy. Okay. I found it. Okay. Ang sabi niya, that one boy sibling you have na palaging pinapayagan gumala. Tas ikaw bawal dahil babae ka. Felt. Fucking rage! I was in high school. I mean, hanggang ngayon pa rin naman, sobrang strict pa rin. They're like, if you entertain any suitors, I will kill you. Kasi I have 2 kuyas. So sabi ko, bakit yung mga kuya ko, pwede silang mag-girlfriend? Like, binadala pa nila yung babae dito sa bahay nung high school sila. Tapos yung sinabi sa akin, kasi lalaki sila. What the fuck? Natural lang naman sa mga lalaki manligaw. It takes two to tango. Sino liligaw nila? What? Anyways, I don't have that. That is on misogyny. Next one is skinny privilege. Sobrang dami nagsabi ng skinny privilege. And yes, I totally agree that it's a privilege. Mention ko na rin siya sa ibang videos. Sobrang daming nagalit sa akin. They're like, well, it's different. And I'm like, okay lang yan. Bobo rin ako dati. As in, sobrang bobo ko dati. Kasi sobrang thrift, ukay-ukay aficionado ko. Sabi ko, huwag na kasi kayo bumili sa mga fast fashion, blah, blah, blah. Like, bad for the environment. Yung argument ng friends ko is, di naman madaling makahanap ng clothes their size sa ukay-ukay. So, sobrang mas accessible din talaga ng fast fashion. This is a lens that you might want to look at. And at the same time, regardless of clothes, marami pa rin mga fat-phobic yan. Hindi ko na alam kung dapat mag-expound pa ako. Kasi majority ng models, majority ng artista na seryosong roles, or yan, sila Catherine Bernardo, sila Liza Sobrano. Yung mga top bitches talaga in showbiz. Lahat sila payat. Pati sa healthcare, especially sa mundo ng polycystic ovarian syndrome, ibang-iba talaga yung trato sa'yo kung mataba ka. Part din kasi ako sa forums ng polycystic ovarian syndrome, like sa Reddit, sa Facebook. Tapos nakita ko talaga yung struggles nila, yung hindi sila sineseryoso. Basta, just acknowledge that skinny privilege is real. Yes, I know very well, everybody has insecurities. I also have insecurities as a skinny person. I acknowledge na may mga mapapayat na na-offended. Pero kailangan tingnan natin yung parang systematic. Like, kitang-kita sa society natin yung bias. Last one is nakakapasok sa big universities or the big four. Ang dami nag-answer nito. First of all, sobrang taas ang tuition fee. Unless taga-UP ka. Shinare ko din to sa story ko. Sinabi ko na parang considered ba yung UP as a privilege? Kasi nga, wala namang tuition fee doon. Tapos, you guys really did correct me and na-realize ko din, it is a privilege. Kasi yung nakakapasok doon is yung mga sobrang talino talaga. We all know, kung nag-excel ka sa school, malaking tulong din yung, you have proper materials, financially stable kayo, you have access to information, to good books, may access ka to the internet, hindi ka nag-aalala sa pagkain, hindi ka nag-aalala sa ibang problems. That's also a privilege. May mga nag-mention din na parang kapag taga-province ka, it's harder. Yung mga top universities talaga, usually nasa NCR lang naman. So yun, that's a check for me. I study in one of the big four schools. And that's okay. It's okay to acknowledge your privilege. Sobrang dami nyo pang in-enter, pero hindi ko na siya may include kasi feeling ko sobrang haba na ng video ko, in-include ko pa siya. I think na I can make a part 2 or a lot more kasi there's like so much that I can... Ang ingay ng aso! Shut up! Una ako kasi pagod na ako. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. If you don't, it means you're probably one of those annoying bitches who don't know their privilege. And yeah, I don't know how to do outros. Outro! Ingay! Pakainin nyo nga yan! Batong mga kapitbahay ko. Nagbibidyo eh! Kainis. Okay. Tama yan. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. My fucking god, this fucking dog.